hippos are Africa's most dangerous animals. They are responsible for the most human deaths per year. And here is this guy putting on a hippo suit and going out there in the name of science to facilitate further studies. But at the same time, that sensationalistic entertainment value has been placed on it. If we were not to see that and were not aware that it was going on, the science would still continue. Is the sensationalized factor of TV that's been added on top of that acceptable? And again, viewers, please share your comments. Is our mere presence perhaps a provoking factor in it all? And I think that's the question that we need to come back to and concentrate on what is acceptable and what isn't. Those 3 clips that we've shown you now are completely different examples about how man is engaging with wildlife for a movie or entertainment purpose, but they all do it in a completely different way. Now, what's acceptable for one is not necessarily acceptable to the other. And the question I'm going to ask you is wildlife filmmaking of this type okay if it contributes to a greater awareness and contribution towards conservation? I think that's the question we should keep in mind when looking at this. Filmmaking is extremely hard. Valerie B says, would these people be doing the same things if there was no cameras with them? And the honest answer to that, Valerie, is yes, they would. The difference is that people have found ways of following scientists and catching these amazing interactions on tape and then sharing them with the public audience. That's where we are. Technology has enabled us to get visuals and to engage with wildlife in a way that ultimately might be far less risky or far less harmful than if we didn't have certain types of technology available to us. Once again, we must remember that there are different types of wildlife films. There are the blue chip films, which are purely beautiful wildlife, but very often these don't carry a conservation message. They carry a message that tends to avoid controversy, but engage with people on various aspects of nature or wildlife. And a classic example of this is the BBC. And once more at the end of the show, I'm going to be putting links for various things onto my Facebook page that we could not share with you tonight. And as always, I welcome that debate and that engagement with you. You guys have been fantastic, and I welcome further feedback. What I'd like to move on to now, because we only have a few minutes left of tonight's show, how time flies when I'm having fun with you all, is to embrace the concept of technology. Now, you are all a dedicated Wild Earth audience, and that means that you are prepared to engage with wildlife through the technological means that you have available to you. Most of you are on the internet, but of course there's television as well. Now, conservation can be encouraged and assisted through technology. And here at Wild Earth, we actually have a living example of that, and it's the example I'm going to refer to. The wild dog cam is a source of much satisfaction and gratification for many, many viewers, but is also a point of concern. Some of you have worried about the interference that the camera equipment has with the dogs. Some of you have been concerned about the lighting that is used on the dogs. And I must assure all of you right here, right now, that this type of wildlife filmmaking, as you see on the Wild Dog Den, is probably one of the best, most ethical and scientifically positive ways of sharing interactions with wild animals that we would never normally be able to see without disrupting them. Pete, if we could, we're going to see if there's any live action at the Wild Dog Den to share with you, followed by another brief clip. So Pete, my director, could we see what we've got on the wild dogs, if there's anything ready to go? All's quiet at the den. Excellent. Now, the reason why we have, out of all the beautiful moments that we've seen on this particular Wild Dog Den, we can see that this is the footage of the alpha female that was recorded. And through the cameras and through your viewers' observations, we are able to see that she has a wound on her. Now, the minute that this was spotted, the alarms were raised. Viewers got onto the chat rooms and the web so fast that it made the internet highways spin. And got onto the Wild Earth team, and immediately, thanks to the camera and the incredible capabilities, we zoomed in, as you can see now. We had a jolly good look at the wound on the female, and we could assess that even though it looked pretty sore, she was going to be okay, it was going to heal, and there was going to be no major negative impact on the pack. Now, wow. What a privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, in a time not so long ago, it would have been impossible for us to ever possibly consider interacting with the wild dog pack like this without direct human interference. This is not the way that wildlife filmmaking is going to go, because this is not the only type of wildlife filmmaking that we have available to us in this day and age. But the technology is marvelous, and good wildlife filmmakers don't cross that ethical line as far as possible. It's all about capturing nature as it happens. Now, in the past, there are very much people who have transgressed this line. I think it was Lisa Selby that sent me information on Marty Stouffer, a filmmaker in America who was accused of staging kills and fights between animals and using tame animals in his shots, and he was found out and he was called to book and taken to court as a result of this. So without doubt there are wildlife filmmakers that cross that boundary. It's something that we come across all the time in our industry, and it's something that most of us frown down upon. It is not condoned, it is not accepted, and generally speaking, respect for these people is very few and far between. G. Yussa said, I think this cam at the den is okay because we do not disturb them. And I totally agree with you. I think that is absolutely one of the best, most wonderful pieces of technology that we could have at our disposal. And Wild Earth is kind of a pioneer in that respect, because what you are able to experience in effect can be done with a clear conscience. When you are sitting at home enjoying the presenters and the drives and the wildlife that you see going on around you, know that none of that is provoked. What you see is what is real. And on that note, I'd like to quickly refer to some notes that were given to me this afternoon, which is Lisa Selby once again. I hope the future of wildlife edutainment on television changes and adapts, moving away from the glamorized and sensationalized genre that it has become over the years towards showing us nature as it truly is, like the way that it is done at Wild Earth. I'm unashamedly pumping Wild Earth because as a wildlife filmmaker myself, and I know that my husband Patrick will agree with me, we strive as hard as we can to not interfere in any way, shape or form. And sometimes it takes months for us to get the footage that we need, but by golly, when we've got it, that feeling of achievement and pride is almost overwhelming. Let's see here. Afimu, hello. The many wildlife cam shows we can watch online and be satisfied with interaction from a distance. I agree. But let us not underestimate the incredible filmmakers that have gone before us and have spent years and years in the field trying to get shots for us to show us wildlife interactions that we would never otherwise have been able to see. And as a suggestion or as an example of that, Planet Earth, is that correct? The latest BBC is phenomenal. And at the end of each episode, they show you how certain aspects of the filmmaking was done. And if you haven't yet seen it, go and have a look because it is highly entertaining and informative. Ladies and gentlemen, time flies when we're having fun. We've got less than a minute, and without further ado, let me just say that it's been wonderful having this debate with you today. It's been absolutely fantastic sharing another half hour with you tonight. Keep tuned to my Facebook because tomorrow night's topic is going to be pasted. This show is your show, and we welcome whatever you have to contribute because it's about you, it's about us, and the community of people that love wildlife, love the environment, and keep the globe turning round. So, from me, Jess, I thank you for joining me and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'd like to thank my fantastic cameraman husband Patrick as always, Pete in the control room doing a fabulous job monitoring all the electronics, the rest of the Wild Earth team that always give me support and input, and most importantly of all, you, the Wild Earth audience, because if it wasn't for you, we'd have no show. SLAPP and good night.